Hi everyone, FD here for Sample Genie. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how to layer breaks together and to basically make a complete beat using different layers of breaks. I mean that's the way that I was taught to do it originally, and that's the way that I still do it. Basically by layering different beats together till I get a groove that I'm happy with, and then layering it with hits as well, kicks and snares, sometimes hi-hats as well, to basically thicken it up, give it weight, give it power. Today I'm going to be looking at my new track of mine called Give It All, that will be forthcoming on a new Sun and Bass EP. Here it is playing at the moment. Just give you a quick blast at the drop so you can hear the whole thing.
I'ma give you all I got.
Basically I've gone in and cleaned up the project because there was a lot of stuff in there, and now all we're left with is basically the drums, the track in here, just so you can have a listen to it. Done this slightly differently from how I would normally do it. I have lots of different ways of doing things, and like people keep saying, no right way to do things. Sometimes I'll just chuck breaks into the sampler and then mess around with them in there. Sometimes I'll throw them into Ableton and do it that way. I've been really enjoying doing that recently. I'm kind of using Ableton more and more actually. But that's a really quick way to get them in and just kind of get the idea going and really kind of feeling like this kind of spontaneous vibe at the moment. And I think doing it in Ableton like that is quite good. And here, as you can see, I've done most of it in audio. Not something I do very much, but I know a lot of people actually really prefer to do it like this. I don't really like the audio in Logic so much. I used to use Cubase for a long time, and then I got a Mac, and so I switched to Logic. I always used a lot of MIDI anyway, and then I just find that the chopping in Logic is not so great, often clicks and pops, and maybe that's also then why I'm doing it in Ableton as well, because I never have any of that problem. But in this instance, I've done a lot of it in audio, and the reason why I chose to show you this tune is I've used breaks that I made for the last sample pack I made for Sample Genie, but the way that I've used them, I've managed to kind of hide them away in there so you wouldn't really know that they're in there. I like to kind of build it into my own beat, but what I wanted to show you is that it's possible to have those ones in there and then kind of build your own break out of it. So we now just have a look at each of the individual parts. You can see basically what I've got going in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you each of the layers that I've got in there, and basically how I've processed them to kind of all fit together. It's basically how I've processed them all to fit together, and I think hopefully that will give you a good idea of how you can layer these bits together and end up with your own fuller, fatter break that's basically yours. So like I said, in this instance, I've used some breaks that I already made for Sample Genie before, and also a break of mine, the one I used in Change Please on Spearhead. And I mean, this is another nice quick way to make tunes. Basically, is like once you've got your breaks in your other projects, bounce them out, use them again. And I mean, I don't know if you could tell that the Change Please one break was in there, but hopefully it's kind of hidden away, but it just adds to the groove, and it just meant that bam, I had that feel in there straight away. Really kind of handy. So Let's just go to the loop section here. So there's that. That's how it was with no processing. What else we got? Here's one from the pack. So some EQ and some enveloping going on there. Then a little layer one, just to give it a bit of pace, bit of roll. A little shaker in there as well, just again to add a bit more pace and stuff. And then one kick, let's call that high kick. And I know this one's another high one. So maybe you're thinking, alright, why have you got those in there? Like, what's the point of that? I'll show you in a minute. Then snare here. And another snare here. And you can hear this one's a bit lower. And this one's a bit higher. And it's also got some reverb on. I'll come back to why. Okay, so that's each of the layers that we've got in there. I guess also it'd be important to show you how they're all grouped as well. When I set up a new project, I basically made a template in Logic, which is really handy. It just basically means that I've got my normal setup all there ready to go at the beginning. This is actually a stripped down version. There's normally more versions of battery and more group channels, but I've stripped it down so that you can see, because the project was pretty full and there was lots of stuff in there. But I always have hi-hat group, kick group, snare group, and then like a drum out group. This is moved because I've got some automation on there. But basically each of these channels, you'll see bus 1, bus 2, bus 3, they're all bus to group 5, and group 5 is the drum channel altogether. So then everything's going in there, and that's basically just to glue everything back together again, because they're all separate elements, and we basically want it to sound as one, kind of like a coherent thing. Also something going on, you see it's bust here, it's just going to a little side chain group as well, just with some heavy compression on basically. And I'll talk about that in a minute, why that's in there as well. But so I decided that I just wanted a two-step rhythm. I guess I started with this beat here. Just kind of, it was like a little roll, just kind of like, alright, yeah, this is kind of cool. Like, we'll do something like this. And then I probably layered the next break over the top, and just I was like, if you listen, this one's a bit slow, a bit ploddy, like, but I like the kick and I like the sound of the snare, like they kind of got some good character to them, so that's why they're in there. But then as soon as you stick this break over the top, alright, it's kind of moving a bit more, like, which is kind of cool. But because the kick is nice in that other break, straight away it makes sense for me to roll off the kick off this one, because basically, like, they're just going to be conflicting. You don't need all this information from the kick, because we've already got a nice kick in the other one. So let's just scoop it out, take it out, and then basically, you know, they're just layered together. Then it's like, it's really just kind of, I don't know, they're sounding kind of cool. And it's really that simple. You just mess around. You maybe start with one that you like the sound of and the feel of and the kind of rhythm of it, and then just layer other breaks on top until they kind of meld together, kind of fit together, and it works. And EQing, I would say, is really, really important in this.